Barcelona have embarrassed Real Madrid this season, and Hansi Flick has embarrassed Ancelotti this season. That is now the third time that Hansi Flick has beaten Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid this season, and it's becoming a running joke. But this one might have been the worst. A Copa del Rey final with a trophy on the line, and Barcelona still end up clutching up and beating Real Madrid, even though they have a semi-final of the Champions League to think about. Whilst this was a proper final for Real Madrid, they had to give it their all to have a bit of decency left for the end of the season, that at least they have a trophy that they won, a trophy that they haven't been winning recently, so it would have been something that they can talk about. But even then, they lost this trophy, and now even La Liga, they have a El Clasico game coming up, and I wouldn't be surprised if Barcelona defeat them and end up winning La Liga too. I'm going to touch on a lot of things in the game, the key moments, talking about key players in the game, and some players who really didn't show up for Real Madrid when they needed them most. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, comment down below your thoughts on the El Clasico, and subscribe for more. Right from the first whistle, Barcelona were all over Real Madrid. The counter press was too much for Real Madrid, and we've seen it all season long. Real Madrid struggle to build up play from the back. There's so many issues with the structure when it comes to building up the play. And when you're up against a team like Barcelona, who press you so high, who have such a high line defensively, then it becomes very difficult to get out of your own box. And I noticed in that first half that whenever Courtois had the ball was the biggest issue for Real Madrid. The reason I say that is they can't use Courtois as a +1 like the majority of the teams in world football do in build-up play, because Courtois' passing out from the back is just not good. And then when you add the fact that Rudiger and Asensio are both very poor at bringing the ball out, it becomes a massive issue, especially when you lose a player like Toni Kroos that Real Madrid lost last year, who was doing so much of the build-up play for Real Madrid. Now, whenever Courtois has the ball, he needs to hit it long. And when you think about it, they had Vini Jr. and Rodrigo as their main strikers. And as much as Jude Bellingham wanted to push forward, he couldn't. So whenever Courtois is hitting it long, he's going towards Vini Jr. and Rodrigo, and they're losing their aerial battles. Barcelona get the ball back, and they are completely dominating Real Madrid. In the first 20-25 minutes, it was all Barcelona, and you could see it only going one way. And that's exactly how Barcelona end up scoring the first goal. Lamine Yamal is out wide, but that pushes the Real Madrid defense so deep that they forget about the third man runner. And in this case, it was Pedri coming onto the edge of the box and smashing it into the top corner. And a word for Pedri this season: he has played an incredible number of games for Barcelona. He has been so consistent for them. He has been the best midfielder on the planet with absolute ease. And for me, he is genuinely up there with the Iniestas, the Xavis and Busquets for what he's doing this season for this Barcelona team. At just 22, 23 years old, he is controlling games. He's clutching up in the big moments. Off the ball, he has been unbelievable at winning the ball back. And on the ball, we all know how much of a master Pedri is with the ball at his feet. He's got that Spanish maestro about him, breaking the lines with ease, finding the key passes that really get Barcelona into the right part of the game. And you could see he was tired in today's game, and yet he still clutched up with that absolutely majestic finish into the top corner. It was a brilliant moment for him, and he really deserved that because of the season that he's been having. As for Real Madrid, they had a major problem. Rodrigo was missing down that right hand side. He was providing absolutely nothing in terms of build-up play, in terms of holding the ball up. And then on the other side, Vini Jr. was not timing his runs correctly. He wasn't making the right decisions when the ball was his feet. And we all know what happens to Vini Jr. when this starts to occur. He gets frustrated, he starts crying towards the referee, and he completely forgets about the game. And that's exactly what happened here. And there was even a moment where Jude Bellingham played the ball through. Fran Garcia was through on goal, but Vini Jr. took over, and you could clearly see that Vini Jr. was offside. That type of decision making starts to collect, and when that starts to happen, Barcelona start to dominate. And to be fair to Carlo Ancelotti, he changed it at the right time. One, he had to bring on Kylian Mbappe anyway, but then by bringing on Modric and then bringing on Arda Güler, them three players were players who were comfortable under pressure, who wanted to keep the ball and control the ball, especially Modric and Güler. I was very impressed by that performance by Güler. As soon as he came on, Real Madrid were keeping the ball better. He had so much pressure behind him, so many strong players against him on the counter press, but he was making the right decisions with the ball at his feet. He was finding Valverde in the middle, Tchouaméni in the middle, and that allowed Real Madrid to really get back into the game. And when you're looking at Kylian Mbappe, you have a monster up front, and it was someone that Jude Bellingham could finally play with, because if we're being honest, that first half, especially near the end, Jude Bellingham was a one-man attack. He was winning balls in the air, he was tackling his opposition in the perfect positions for him to counter-attack quickly. The amount of passes that I saw him play after winning the ball back to Vinny Jr., to Mbappe, it was a ridiculous masterclass from Jude Bellingham, and he didn't deserve to lose. I have to say, there's many times where I've said Jude Bellingham deserves criticism, but the majority of the time, that criticism is overstated. And in this game, he stepped up to be counted for. That was an absolutely brilliant performance from Bellingham. He was winning his tackles, playing the ball to Kylian Mbappe, making runs in behind, and the couple times that Kylian Mbappe was put through, he ends up getting taken out. And in one of those moments, he gets taken out at the edge of the box. He stands up for the free kick, and he finally smashes one into the bottom corner. It was a brilliant free kick from him, and it was brilliant ball striking. And I know there's that Twitter page that's been talking about how long it will take for Mbappe to finish his free kick. He can finally shut up, because Mbappe finished off that free kick and it was 1-1. The game was in the balance. Real Madrid end up taking the lead, with Güler producing a brilliant cross into Tchouaméni, who made it 2-1, and this game now felt like it was in Real Madrid's hands. At that moment, I started saying to myself, and I said it quite often in the game, Lamine Yamal, your team needs you. You need to step up. We've been talking about this guy as if he's the best player in the world, and for me, he is definitely one of the best players in the world. Just how much influence he has, just how clutch he is in the middle of games. So watching him play this game and not be as influential as he should be, I was like, Lamine Yamal, this is your time to step up. This is your time to make your mark on the pitch. And that's exactly what he did. I was not left disappointed. The ball comes to him. He cuts inside on his left foot. Vintage Lamine Yamal this was. He sees Ferran Torres making a run, and the timing and weight of this pass was an absolute joke. It was world class. Not every single player on the planet can play that pass. Only a specific few can, and Lamine Yamal is one of those. It was an excellent pass in behind. Ferran Torres goes around Courtois and finishes off that chance. Talking on Courtois, he's a goalkeeper who doesn't like coming off his line, and I was really surprised he made the decision to come off his line there, because that is the only reason why Ferran Torres even had a chance to finish off that chance. And talking about Torres, well, he has been so good for Barcelona this season that I feel like his season is going underrated. When you need a fourth choice attacker to be clutch, to get the goals when you need them, that's exactly what Torres has been doing. Lewandowski was out of the game. Torres had to step up, and that's exactly what he did when he made it 2-2 on the pitch. And it even got more controversial near the end of the game, when in the 90th minute, Asensio completely takes out Rafinha in the box, or what we thought he took out Rafinha in the box. The referee gives a penalty. It goes to VAR. And everyone, I'm telling you, I was convinced this was a penalty. There was no way VAR was going to overrule this and say it was no penalty. But Asensio on the pitch seemed adamant that Rafinha had dived. And when you look at the VAR, it was quite clear to see that he definitely dived, and he was given a yellow card, and VAR overruled the penalty shout, and it was going to extra time. I want to touch on the referee a little bit. Throughout the game, there was a lot of pressure on him, especially because of the pre-game stuff with Real Madrid saying they're not going to play this game because the referees are cheat. The referee had that interview yesterday, and I feel like in the game you could see it definitely had his moments where he wasn't giving decisions to Barcelona. And one moment that really stands out for me was there was a header that went into the back post, or a cross that went into the back post, and I thought Pau Kubasi would have definitely finished off that chance. But he was fouled and dragged by Ceballos. The referee didn't even check it on VAR and didn't give a penalty. But in my opinion, that was a penalty. There was another one, I think Fermin Lopez got taken out by Rudiger. I think it was Fermin Lopez, and it wasn't given. So there was a few decisions that were definitely, you could see that Real Madrid were influencing. But this exact one was definitely not a penalty for Rafinha. It was excellent use of VAR, and it was a brilliant decision from the referee. And that led us on to extra time. I actually thought leading up to extra time that Real Madrid had the momentum and that they would win this game, because Barcelona have played so many minutes. They play a high line, they play with high intensity, whereas Real Madrid don't do that. They back off opponents. They allow themselves to get their breath back up. And Carlo Ancelotti made a couple of substitutions here where I feel like he got it wrong. He brought on Brahim Diaz and he brought on Endrick. Brahim Diaz was making poor decision after poor decision. There were so many counter-attacks where he had the pass on his right to Güler, but he went left, and that completely ended the attack. There was a couple of times where he should have played the pass quicker. He took an extra touch and lost the ball. And then Endrick on the other side, all he can do is shoot. Whenever he gets that ball, he just wants to cut in and shoot. He doesn't think about where he can pass. And there was a moment where I felt so bad for him because he tried to take his opponent and lost the ball, and Rafinha was literally 2v1 against the defender. And if that ball goes in the back of the net, Endrick was definitely going to feel the brunt of it from his teammates, because they are putting in so much energy and life into this performance, and Endrick just making that mistake would have completely shut them down. But he survived that moment. But someone who didn't survive was Brahim Diaz and Luka Modric. Luka Modric plays a pass across. In my opinion, Brahim Diaz should have stayed and got that ball. But he thought about making a run, which messed up that complete phase of play. Koundé gets the ball and smashes one into the bottom corner. I was saying, why are you shooting for Lamine Yamal's on your right? But the technique he showed for that finish was absolutely world class. And Koundé in general has been understated how good he has been for Barcelona this season. The consistency levels that he shows, 8 out of 10 every single game. Defensively so solid. He was a centre back in the day, so he's always going to be defensively solid. But what he's providing offensively, the support that he's providing to Lamine Yamal has been so important to Barcelona's season this season, that I was so happy to see that he was the one who was going to get this moment. He was the one who made it 3-2. And even afterwards, Real Madrid still had a couple of chances, but they were ruining attack after attack. And I felt so bad for Jude Bellingham and Kylian Mbappe, because they deserved so much better from this game. They deserved a lot more because of how they performed, and they were let down by their other teammates. And we can't end this video and go into the outro without talking about that Rudiger moment. I think that might be the worst head loss I've ever seen on a football pitch. He was completely gone. He was ready to break the referee's legs. And I think he actually threw something at the referee and ended up getting sent off. Then he's taking ice packs out of his legs, trying to throw that at the referee. He had to be held back. If you saw his eyes and his face, I actually think he would have went for the referee if no one stopped him. Which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. And something that's happened to Real Madrid throughout this season. Something that I definitely wanted to touch upon. They lost their aura this season. There was so much aura when you were versing Real Madrid, so much about their quality and how much they're going to break you down, the problems that you'll have defensively. This season, every single big game I've seen Real Madrid play, just before the game, it's crybabies, it's people making excuses. And I'm talking about the Real Madrid players, not the fans. The players are talking about doing remontada before even doing that against Arsenal. Before this Barcelona game, crying about the referees, saying everyone's against us. And that's exactly why they're losing these games. They're going in there with a loser mentality rather than that winning aura mentality that we've been so used to year in, year out from this Real Madrid team. And I have to say, I've been so disappointed by them. I'm so happy that Barcelona won this one, because there's so many excuses that Real Madrid have been making throughout the season. Overall, that wasn't just an important win for Barcelona. That was a trophy in the bag for Hansi Flick, and the first one of 3 that he could win. Now he has La Liga to think about, and they have the momentum. As long as they keep on winning the games when the El Clasico comes, if they win that El Clasico, then I just can't see how they lose La Liga. And then they have the Inter Milan game on the weekday, which they need to be winning that game. And if they can win these games, then I can't see how Hansi Flick doesn't do the treble, because Barcelona, for me, have been the best balanced, the best performing, and just the most entertaining team to watch in the world this season. And he definitely deserves that treble. After that Bayern Munich stint that he had, people said Hansi Flick got lucky. He was in the right moment at the right time. And I have to say, there's 2 teams I've ever watched that I think, what are you doing? This is stupid. The high line is suicidal. And yet his Bayern team won the treble. And it looks like his Barcelona team could also win the treble. So fair play to Hansi Flick. Every single time he's come to club football, he showed what he's made of. He showed the exciting, attacking football that he can play. And before he joined Barcelona, I thought Hansi Flick wasn't the right man for the job. I thought this Barcelona team wasn't set out for Hansi Flick to produce the type of football he wants. And yet he still made it work. And he's made it work with youngsters. We're talking about 17, 18, 19-year-olds being the main mans in this team. We're talking about Marc Bernal, Marc Casado. He's getting the best out of players who weren't in this Barcelona team last season. And I have to put my hands up and say, the managerial job that Hansi Flick is doing, for me, if he wins that treble, or even if he wins the double, has been the manager of the season. Let me know down below what you guys think about Hansi Flick's season this year. Let me know what you think about Carlo Ancelotti Ancelotti. Will he be getting sacked at the end of the season? In my opinion, Real Madrid would definitely be having a new coach next season. And what's wrong with Vinicius Jr.? Because his performances this season have been nothing like what we've been used to in the last couple of years. He has been very poor, and you can see it's getting to his head. Will he stay at the end of the season, or will he end up going to Saudi? I hope you like this breakdown of the El Clasico. Something a little bit different from the Liverpool content and the Premier League content. Let me know down below what other content you would like to see. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment down below like I said, subscribe for more, hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload, and peace.